Today's episode is sponsored by our friends over at Henson Shaving. Today I'm wearing my Grand Seiko Omi Watari. And later on in today's video, I'm going to tell you not only why I love this watch, but why I absolutely love and stand behind the Grand Seiko name. But before I go on a whole tirade of compliments and profound thoughts about my allegiance to a brand, I got to ask a critical question. Have they made a grave error in releasing as many limited editions as they have? Have they done their brand significant, maybe even irreparable damage, at least in the American market, by flooding us with limited models? It's a good question, and let's talk about it. It's only in good form that before we analyze what they've done, let's at least, get it out of the way. Let's stipulate what it is that they've done with their limited editions, right? There's no time that it started per se, but it really seemed to start, it felt fresh back in 2019. Now, that's a time when the limited edition idea, the concept and execution behind the limited edition effort was really positive for the Grand Seiko brand. It might have even been brilliant. Okay, this was the four-season push, the four-season campaign. These were watches made only for the American market, and everyone wanted one. They were classic Grand Seiko in their equation, right? In their incredibly fair pricing, their usage of alternative materials. I believe 2 of the four seasons were in titanium, but really it all came down to the dial. Each capturing one of the 28, I believe, Japanese seasons, but they're capturing it so well, right? Each a perfect demonstration of how intelligent, how brilliant Grand Seiko is, but even more than that, what they are at their core. What is their core messaging? And if you couldn't explain it, you definitely knew that in layman's terms, Grand Seiko was the brand that made the watches that look like nature. And that was enough. And everyone was so excited about these watches. So how did we go from 2019, when everyone was so excited about these USA limited editions, right? Even to the point where people in other countries were asking Americans to buy them and ship. Amazing. How did we go from there to where we are today? And where we are today is, and I'm only speaking from my personal experience, but I think that my personal experience is fairly expansive. I'm in this business. I'm talking to industry people every day. I'm talking to watch folks on both sides of the aisle, meaning on the consumer end and the business end on a very regular basis. And no one seems to be excited about the brand the way they were in 2019. Well, the watches haven't changed. Right? Everything that was lovable about Grand Seiko back in 2019 is just as lovable, if not more so, now. So what's changed? While their product quality and brand, ethos has remained, there's been so much noise. Again, back to these limited editions, there's been so much noise. You have these, the red ones, the green ones, the lavender ones, all these different shades of blue, and they're all limited. All these different limited edition Grand Seikos that are individually amazing. And by the way, it's not just limited edition Grand Seikos that are great. They have plenty of models in their regular collection that are amazing, right? From GMTs and chronographs and quartz and spring drive and high frequency. There's so much to the Grand Seiko collection, but these limited editions, as beautiful as they are, is it possible they've done a large disservice to the brand? And I think the answer comes down to a word. And I think that word is fatigue. Right? And fatigue it's hard to explain, right? Because none of us are actually doing anything. So how are we tired? Right? I mean, none of us have done, and if anyone should be tired, it's the designers at Grand Seiko, right? They should be exhausted. They're working quite hard. But the rest of the market, the consumers, at least in America, right, which is where I speak to people most often, they are, I think, it's possible, they are tired of all the limited editions. They're tired of something always being news and limited. And there's already a sort of negative kind of connotation around the limited edition. And that wasn't caused by Grand Seiko, right? That's caused by, I mean, Hublot certainly predates them, right? The idea of a limited edition or the idea of a limited release at one point in time was really, really special. I mean, you guys remember when a limited release was special and you couldn't get one. You couldn't get one. And if you did, you were the luckiest guy in the world, but you probably couldn't get one, but it was limited. Well, today, if everything's limited, what's limited, right? I mean, it becomes all too apparent that like, well, nothing's very special if everything's special in a way. Right? Or is perception just reality, right? I mean, all of these watches still remain great, but the perception of novelty means something in watches, certainly. And Grand Seiko, I feel it's possible, it's certainly worth discussion. They may have lost that novelty. I'm going to take a quick 60 seconds here to thank our sponsor, but we'll be right back to Grand Seiko. Today's episode is sponsored by our friends over at Henson Shaving. Henson Shaving is a family-owned aerospace parts manufacturer, believe it or not, and now they're bringing precision engineering to your shaving experience. What you might not understand about a truly great shave is this. Razor blades are very similar to diving boards. The longer the board, the more wobble. The more wobble there is, the more nicks and cuts and scrapes. It's a disaster, right? A bad shave isn't just a blade problem. It's an entire extension problem. It's a wobble problem. And Henson Shaving has identified that and attacked it and mitigated it. They use aerospace grade CNC machines, and they make the metal razors that extend just 0.0013 inches, which is actually less than the thickness of a human hair. And that makes for a secure and stable blade with a vibration-free shave. These razors have built-in channels that evacuate hair and cream, which makes clogging virtually impossible. And while all of that is absolutely incredible, it's also completely affordable. Once you own your Henson razor, it's only 3 to 5 years through Henson to replace the blades. So I think it's time for you now to say goodbye to subpar shaves and start trusting the family over at Henson Shaving. So head on over to hensonshaving.com/Theo, pick out your razor, and then get 2 years worth of free blades on them. Just use the code Theo. Thank you to the family over at Henson, and everyone, head on over. Back to Grand Seiko. So what's next in the conversation? Well, where does it come from, right? That's where I go next. Where does it come from? Why does Grand Seiko do this, right? And we can't stipulate this is a bad business decision because we haven't isolated all the different events and happenings of the brand, and decisions of the brand. I cannot sit here and tell you that limited editions are what killed Grand Seiko, or not that they're dead at all, right? They're certainly out there expanding every day, I'm sure, but I'm talking about the excitement in the street and the excitement in the media on the consumer end, not just on the paid publication end, but on the consumer end, right? I can't say that it was only limited editions, but it may have been. And if it was, it makes me sad because these limited editions come from a place of enthusiasm. Grand Seiko, unlike Hublot, is such an enthusiastic company, a detail-oriented company, a passionate company, a loving company, a company that serves its constituents, right? Serves its consumer base, so much more than I think other brands do. Grand Seiko's GS9 Club, which is the club that you become a member of once you buy a Grand Seiko, and you become the guests of events and special things, and it's really a special thing, is evidence of how much they truly love and care for and serve their clients. It's very unusual in the watch industry. It's very unusual. Certainly not something Hublot's ever been accused of. So that makes the whole story kind of sad for me. Right? We're making a lot of assumptions here, but let's assume that the limited edition strategy was ultimately bad for business because it gave, it made everyone exhausted, right? It gave such fatigue to the viewers, right? Every couple of weeks you hear or see something new limited, and it became noise, and now no one's listening at all. Let's assume that's true. That sucks because it comes from a place of hard work and dedication and ingenuity, right? That's why it sucks. Right? Because Grand Seiko, and now we're going to get into the kind of moral of the story here. That's why I have this on me with Tari. That's why I'm wearing it. Grand Seiko truly has a calling, has a mission, has an ethos, has a brand perspective, right? Which is this nature, right? I mean, there is no greater designer than Mother Nature herself. So who are we, right, to ignore her beauty? Right, and other watch manufacturers don't really take inspiration from that, which is kind of funny, right? The mere reality that Grand Seiko takes inspiration and no one else does means that Grand Seiko is the only one that thinks that it's worth taking inspiration from. It's a really interesting place to be, right? On a brand narrative level, right? So it would be a shame for a brand with such energy and purpose and perspective two, have exhausted people, right? I mean, that is a shame, right? It's a shame for one of the few brands in the market that truly deserves praise if they, are not getting it and their level of praise, dwindles over the next, 3-5 years, decade. If that is the case, right? We're just looking and being pessimistic, right? That would be a real shame. Watches like this, watches like the Omi Watari are nearly flawless, particularly at their price point, under $9,000, perfect proportions, perfect case size, 38.5, perfect thickness, perfect dial. The movements are so, this is a spring drive, not the high frequency. This is the spring drive, which is, only possible at Grand Seiko, right? This convergence of quartz and mechanical watchmaking, right? This brilliant technology that's all delivered, in many cases well under $10,000, with, again, this unique perspective, this nature-focused perspective. I don't know. My point is, I hope I'm wrong, but I do wonder if I'm right, because I do speak to a lot of folks and I do read a lot of comments and I do watch a lot of videos, and it does seem to me like the fatigue is real. Like folks are not talking about and are not as excited about Grand Seiko as they were back when I got into the brand in 2019, like many of us, right? I have not lost my passion for the brand. I adore the brand. And I'm sure so many of you do too on a logical level. But on an emotional level, are you checked out? And if you are, is it the brand's fault? And I'll leave you with one more note before we part. And it's this. It's not too great of a reflection on, our intelligent community if the fatigue is real. If a brand is continuously delivering brilliance to the market and we are too tired of seeing the new brilliant watches that are beautiful, that's not that great. That's not great. Now, ultimately, it's the brand's problem, not ours, right? We're consumers. We don't get hurt if nothing happens to us, right? But it's not a great look. It's not a great look if we don't understand things that are obvious and right in front of us and would prefer to give our money to brands that maybe are better at playing the marketing game. That's not a great review of our behavior, right? That's not, right? It's certainly not a large indictment, but I would encourage us all, right? And I think we would all agree that we ought to aspire to be consumers that are a little bit more, product focused, right? And really independently and as a community, looking at the product and saying, what are the merits here, right? And does the list of merits demand the price? Does the list of merits demand even more than the price, right? Or less? And it's that constant evaluation that I love in this industry. And I love doing with Grand Seiko. I don't talk about them too much anymore on the channel, maybe because the buzz isn't out there and we can't chase the clicks. But I digress. I love my Omi Watari. I hope that you guys are all having a beautiful day. And if you'd like more content from Theo and Harris, go subscribe to The Zero. We release weekly podcasts there and a bunch of behind-the-scenes conversations where I pour a couple of drinks and really speak unfiltered. So I hope to see you on over at The Zero.